that are called directors. And if you approach somebody within the sheriff's office, a working person in the sheriff's office, like a deputy, and ask them who that person is and what they do, I bet 9 out of 10 of them would say, I don't know who they are, nor what they do. Maybe that 10th one will say, yeah, I know that person, but I'm clueless as to what they do. Those people are making around $75,000, $76,000 a year. 8 of them. 8 of them. We've got 2 deputy chiefs, and we're big enough probably to have 2 deputy chiefs, or a deputy chief and a chief deputy, how he likes to call it. When Chris Vasquez left and Sheriff Babeu came in, there were 5 lieutenants. We have 9, I think, now. I don't think some of those positions are justified, and there's a lot of money going to those positions that could be put to our field personnel. When you take Santan Valley, for instance, who had 42 deputies working 10-hour shifts of a city of 80,000 people, change their shifts to 12-hour shifts so you can cover 24 hours with less people, and reduce 42 deputies to 30 deputies without overlapping their shifts or giving them any information, that needs to change. Money is being spent where it should not be being spent. It needs to go back to the deputies. It needs to go back to the workforce. We need to quit the top heaviness of this administration, or any other administration for that matter. I'm the only independent in this race. I don't have to answer to either political party, nor will I. I agree with some of the things that the county attorney says. I agree with some of the things that Mr. Voyles says, but I don't have to answer to either one. I'm an independent. The sheriff's office should be an independent position so we can represent the people. We the people, that's where it came from. And some of these positions need to be eliminated and put back to where they need to protect you. I can tell you this, if there was an area, and I were the sheriff, that somebody posted and said the Pinal County people can't go here because it's unsafe, I would have taken it back by now. I would have let the people go back where they belong in our county.
Thank you very much. Sheriff, I guess the question would be, what would you cut to make your office more efficient?
Well, first, in response to the criticism about these director positions, a director, the director of communications. This is the lady that I recruited from Mesa Dispatch to come to Pinal County that runs our communications, our 911, our call takers, our dispatchers. Director, we have a director that runs HR. We have 2 director positions that are grant administrators. I think the one criticism that it could be what my opponent is referring to is Cheryl Chase, who's the director of community relations, who represents me on dozens of boards out in the community. The county attorney has 2 of those positions with 150 employees. I have close to 700 full-time employees, and I'm the sheriff throughout the entire county. So this is misplaced. Now to the question about managing the budget and what would I cut, there isn't something. What we need is additional resources. The county right now, $330 million budget, 40 million, folks, is in reserve. 40 million. The county, the Board of Supervisors just spent $6.2 million to renovate a historic courthouse in Florence. That sounds really nice, doesn't it? Why did they do it? Why don't they wait until after this sluggish economy, or some call a recession, and take that money and reduce our tax burden, or take that money and further support the sheriff's office? Why should we support the sheriff's office? I'm giving you some figures. Guess how many cops you have here in the city of Maricopa? 56, including your police chief. 56 for 43,000 people. City of Apache Junction, 38,000 people. They have 60 some odd, including their police chief. This area in Santan Valley where I live, we have not 40 or 39 as my opponent stated, we have 46. But this is, we are understaffed in terms of being able to respond to emergencies. And yet we've done, when I took over as sheriff, we have 3, now 4 positions less than when I took over as sheriff, and we're the fastest growing county in America. So I have done more with less and have been prudent with the taxpayers' money. Thank you.
Pretty simple. He has less positions because he created others. Simple. The money goes, he gets a budget, spend it. He created other positions and eliminated those positions. The only way you can get all those directors and people, you have to find the money somewhere. Board of Supervisors ain't going to give it to you. So you have to create the positions, and that's what he did. Created directors and all those things, those positions that do whatever they do up there, and he had to eliminate those positions. Thank you.
Might as well stay up, the next question goes to you first. Okay. How will what the department does change once Santan Valley incorporates, and how can you begin planning for that?
Well, if Santan Valley does incorporate, the first thing would be we would provide them law enforcement, as we did for Maricopa when Maricopa first incorporated. We would provide them through contractual basis law enforcement until such time as they put their people in place. There will take a tremendous amount of planning for that, and it will have to work with the official people within Santan Valley. Those are going to be appointed to the council, the mayor, and those types of things that will be elected after they become an official city. But I would say that I would plan as sheriff for a minimum of probably 3 years of providing law enforcement to that city after they become an official city. And then slowly, we would work our way out of the city as they hired their own officers, as they hired their own chief, and as they hired their own law enforcement.
Question to you about what if the department changes once Santan Valley incorporates, how do you plan for that?
That's a big step. I live in Santan Valley, and we have worked to try to incorporate, and there's many hurdles that get in our way. Remember, I said 43,000 people live in the city of Maricopa. There's 83, 85, possibly more that live in Santan Valley. We're the cops there. You have more cops in Maricopa than we have deputies in Santan Valley. Where am I going to get those deputies? Am I going to take them from Stanfield and Hidden Valley and have no deputies out there to bring them to Santan Valley? And this is where I will work with the Board of Supervisors to further communicate the need, the importance of public safety to respond to these primary emergencies in the county. When we eventually get to incorporation, that I don't suspect it's going to happen in the next couple of years because there's so many forces internally to fight that, including some large developers who are worth hundreds of millions of dollars. So this is going to be a fight for some time. My plan for that, as I've already proposed, is a long-term contract that will outlive a sheriff, 5 years. And these are models based on Broward County, on LA County, and to provide a contractual relationship, at least one deputy per 1,000 citizens. So not 46, including 2 detectives and a lieutenant. It would be at least 83 or 85, and there would be certain steps or triggers. That's where I have a master's degree in public administration, and I'm good at these things, so like the mayor had said, in planning and forecasting those issues and concerns.
Thank you, Sheriff. The question to you, Mr. Taylor, is how will what the department does change once Santan Valley incorporates, and how can you plan for that?
I think we're planning for the move of Santan Valley to get their own police department, which is a good thing. And what that would do, after the new officers and administration come, just like everybody else up here said, the sheriff's department will continue to assist and train them for what needs to be done. With that being said, you're going to have the council, and not to reiterate what they just said, but you just want to plan for the future. Same thing they did in Maricopa. They kind of bagged out of Maricopa. Maricopa did their own thing. Santan being bigger, you're going to have to stay there just a little bit longer to make sure everything is up to speed. You move your officers out slowly, and then you assign those other officers to other locations and stuff. And that would free up some of the manpower in Santan Valley. That would free up some of the deputies to go other places. And that would come on planning for some of the officers to get some time off, because you have we're having conflict of numbers of how many deputies are out there. But anyway, that's going to relieve some officers to go to different spots and give some more officers a little bit more time off to move to different locations where most of the crimes are being committed. Thank you very much.
We're at our last question before you have your 3 minutes. So the last question, we'll start with you, Sheriff. Do you believe that your deputies are fairly compensated, or are raises needed to keep them from looking for jobs elsewhere?
Recruitment and retention are two issues that we have to deal with continually, and this is where our pay scale is lower than the city of Maricopa. It's lower than the city of Casa Grande, and we cannot continue to be competitive. A lot of our deputies who've been with us and loyal for some time look left or look right, and the grass may be greener. What we're going to have, and as the economy improves, you're already forecasting the city of Phoenix, Mesa, some large agencies are going to have this major hiring, and when they're paying $5,000 and $10,000 more, and with CEP, career enhancement pay, that gives an additional $7,600, $7,800 to acknowledge education, fitness, certifications, there's no way we're going to be able to compete with that. And that's where I'm concerned as a sheriff, that I want to retain those quality applicants, those quality enforcement officers that we have, and then our ability to recruit for the top tier, that we're going to need to be more competitive. So very soon in the new year, that's something that I would like to work with a new board of supervisors to address pay parity, what the market actually would bear, and put us not at the top, but in the top 5 of those who really compete with to recruit and then to retain.
Mr. Taylor, the question to you. Do you believe that the county deputies are fairly compensated or raises needed?
I believe that the raises are needed, but I wouldn't wait until a couple of years down the road to ensure the officer that, we're working on the plan. You get together with your supervisor, tell them this is what we're doing, because we want to make everything competitive. So we understand that, you have the option going to another police department, but there's a lot of training that's going to cost the county money to let these officers go away. So you don't put a carrot out in front of them and say, this is what we're thinking about doing. You tell them, this is what we want to do, so we just need you to stick with us, because you got those skilled people there. They're going to go other places to make more money. In some cases, we don't want to do that, and some, you have the good deputies, you have the bad deputies. The bad deputies, you can let them go and bring in the new. But meanwhile, to answer the question, we want the deputies that are here, the ones that are staying, that want to stay in Pinal County, let them know, we understand you haven't got a raise to 4 to 5 years. This is what we got coming forward. We want you to stay. You're a good asset to Pinal County, and this is where we're going to take care of you and your family. We're going to try to cut your hours. We're going to try to give you more family time. We're going to talk to the Board of Supervision, and this is how we want to look forward to make your life much better and to make everybody competitive, if not more, with the other agencies around the department, so they don't go away, because everybody is looking for a new job to go someplace else for that money. So with that being said, I thank you very much. I see you.
I see you. I see you.
Mr. Martin, the question to you. Do you believe that the deputies are fairly compensated or raises needed to keep them from going elsewhere?
No, they're not fairly compensated, in my opinion. I've been a police officer for 30 years here in Pinal County, and unfortunately, police officers are much like teachers. We never make enough money for what we do. My wife is a school teacher and school administrator, and she's never made enough money as well. So, no, as far as are they fairly compensated, they need to get a raise. They need to be told their value and give them good morale. Give them, instead of giving them 12-hour shifts and no overlap and all these things and creating other positions, you need to give them that time, that break, as Mr. Taylor said. Put them back on 10-hour shifts. It's tough to tell your deputies that your chief deputy's making $121,000 a year, your deputy chief's making $104,000 a year, the directors I mentioned are making $76,000, $78,000, $80,000 a year, but guys, you can't get a raise, and you guys get $40,000, $45,000 a year to go out and do the job you do. That's an oxymoron. You can't do that, and you can't create good morale when that happens. They definitely need raises, but they need a ton of other things as well. I guess that's all I need to say. Thank you.
5 years ago, that was the negotiated salary for the chief deputy of Pinal County. That's what he was earning as a lieutenant in the city of Chandler, a lieutenant, okay? They earn more than that now. Well, our county manager in Pinal County earns $178,000, the county manager. There's over 100 employees that work for Pinal County that earn over $100,000. we have a couple in the sheriff's office. Absolutely, I will argue for competitive pay for rank and file deputies, detention officers. We have the highest paid detention officers in the entire state of Arizona.
Now we're going to go to our closing statements and continue with my left to right. Let's start with your closing statement, Mr. Morgan. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm the only independent in this race. I chose very specifically to run as an independent because I believe very strongly in that position. I've been a police officer here in Pinal County for 30 years. Prior to that, I worked for the Arizona State Department of Correction in Florence, where I was a horseback officer, actually. I took convicted felons out of the prison as I sat on my horse and we watched them work in the field. In the early 80s, I became a certified police officer and I've been out here ever since. I became an independent candidate because I firmly believe we need to remove politics from law enforcement. If you have politics in your law enforcement, you're just asking for trouble. Law enforcement and political politics should be like oil and water. They should not mix. Your sheriff and your chiefs receive new laws from the legislature to implement those laws in the state of Arizona wherever they have their jurisdiction. Those laws come to them as non-bias. They come to them without a political attachment. They need to be implemented in the same way. If you have the influence from this party or that party or this group or that group, then, you know, I'm not going to say everybody's corrupt or anything like that. I'm just saying that influence causes problems being able to implement the law fairly and equally for everyone. That's the whole premise of being an independent as your chief law enforcement agent for this county. Your chief law enforcement agent for this county needs to be someone that's answerable to the people, not to a political party, not to a group of people, not to on the night of Columbus. I wouldn't be responsible to them when I'm implementing my laws. You have to have your own independence. You have to be responsible to the people. So when people ask me, what party are you? I'm we. I'm we the people. I'm for the people. I can tell you that there's been such political influence in this race. One political group has actually issued a statement saying to their group, if you support somebody outside of your party, you will lose your voting rights in this party at the state level. Are you kidding me? That's crazy. I had another one say, they put a sign up for me. So their political group came to them and said, you take that down or the party won't support you in your race. Are you kidding me? That's ridiculous. This is the United States. This is a democracy, folks. We live in a democracy. That's crazy, that kind of statement. So I'm your independent candidate for Pinal County Sheriff. I have the most experience of anybody up here, 30 years of law enforcement experience in Pinal County. I ask you for your support November the 6th. Thank you.
Thank you. Performance and results is what matters, and that's where we've been able to deliver for our citizens, for all of our families. And I can quantify that. It's just not me standing up here and saying, hey, we've done a really good job. What's most important? If you just called 911 and a deputy's responding, it's important to you, if you're on a road in Pinal County or if you live in an unincorporated area or if in Maricopa you need the SWAT team deployed, how quickly we get there. And not just how quickly we get there, what's the quality of training? What's the service that you're going to receive? And these are all measurements that I'm able not just to quantify, that I've worked very hard with all of my leaders, and we as a group have achieved, and I believe it's the best sheriff's office in the state. And the reason why is because when we took over as sheriff 4 years ago, emergency response time countywide was 15 plus minutes on average. It's unacceptable. We brought it down every year through limited patrol resources to realign those, to make it work, not because, oh, I want an 8 or a 10 or a 12-hour shift, but not only taking in considerations of safety and training, but what's important to the public. And in order to provide law enforcement to a county that is larger than the state of Connecticut. Our county geographically is larger than 3 small U.S. states, and we're the cops in close to 90% of that geography. And so for a deputy to respond, so we realign those limited resources into what municipalities use and call as a beat system. And we have discipline in there. We've improved the training. We started with no computers in cars, 28. All 160-plus patrol vehicles all have tough book computers, GPS in every vehicle. When I took over as sheriff, not one car had a GPS system. That our dispatching is now, Adam, you're going to this call, not whoever answers up, and Tony could be 10, 15 minutes further away than Adam is. The person who's closest goes to these calls. Just simple things that you would expect would be happening. We've enhanced the training. We've worked in partnership with all of our law enforcement agencies to do what? To provide better service for you. And we've done that. We have the only jail in Arizona that's nationally accredited, 596 criteria. And we scored not a 90 or 95%, which we need in order to get that certification, perfect 100. Folks, we run a good operation, $50 million, and this is where we have the detention officer of the year. We have the #1 drug investigation in all of America right here in Pinal County this year. We are bringing a heavy hand of enforcement against those who deserve it, the criminals. That's where I'm asking you, regardless of party, to stand up for Land of Oils when you vote, because the cops are asking that we need backup to support your law enforcement, that you can't punch a cop in the face multiple times or shoot at us and think you can get away with it, and that's happening today. Thank you very much for your time and for your support.
That was a long 3 minutes. Well, first of all, I just want to say to everybody, thank you for coming out. And in my closing statements, we started out with 7 candidates, and now we're down to 3. It's going to be a decision that everybody has to make, who's going to do the best job for Pinal County going forward. So whether you pick myself, the sheriff, or he claims himself to be Mr. Independent, you have those choices. But the thing that I want to bring to Pinal County is leadership, integrity, honesty, professionalism. And I think without those 3 things, we cannot and will not move forward in Pinal County. Pinal County is definitely a huge county. We definitely need more deputies to provide us the safety of the people for Pinal County. It's just something that we have to move forward. With the leadership that I want to bring to Pinal County is more professionalism. And I think that we do have professionalism now, but we just need to take it up another notch. I think with all the slinging of the mud and people talking about each other is no place for here. I mean, people don't want to hear that stuff. It's just something that we got to go forward with all this stuff. I mean, there's people around the world that are basically laughing at Arizona. I mean, it just needs to stop. Arizona, we don't need to be in the newspaper all the time. We don't need people telling about Arizona is one of the craziest states. It's just too much. People know everything about Arizona than their own county because we're always in the news for one reason or another. So I think we just need to move forward, make this thing happen, and hope that the voters pick the best person up in this session to win this race. It's not about independent, it's not about Democrat, and it's not about Republican. It's about who can take Pinal County to the next level. We have to go to the next level. It's just, in my opinion, it's just crazy because we're always being downgraded for something. It's just, if you talk to people in Alaska, they know about Pinal County. You talk to people in Cleveland, they know about Pinal County. I just like to take Pinal County off the map. We do what needs to be done for Pinal County, and that's why I am asking your support for Kevin Taylor and Jim Walsh to take us to the next level in Pinal County. Thank you very much.